Hey y'all, I'm back with another live video. You already know who it is. It is Kashmere Majesty, Red Riding Hood, Damien Moody, whatever y'all want to call me. Please excuse me. You already know my channel is raw. It is what it is. Y'all might catch me in my good moments, my bad moments. And this might be one of those moments where I just don't feel like putting on a shirt. It is what it is. If you watch, you watch. If you don't, you don't. Any fucking who. I am reading My Sister Tommie, The Real Tammi Terrell by Moody Montgomery and Vicky Wright. Forward by Dionne Warwick. This is a second expanded edition book. A personal account of my only sibling, Tammi Terrell's short but fully lived existence. Her solo hits and the masterful hit-making duets alongside Marvin Gaye continue to uplift and inspire new generations of music lovers. So, Chapter 3, Soul Train Station at the Sumter Connection. There are two consecutive summers that we spent with our family in Sumter, South Carolina. Sumter is my father's hometown, and we stayed on the farm with our grandparents, Oscar and Janie, and our Aunt Hattie, my father's baby sister. Daddy had six more sisters, but it was Hattie who took us under her wing and cared for us. This was in 1956. It was during the time when my mother was her sickest. I do not recall any phone contact with our mother at all while we were in Sumter. The experiences in Sumter were the root of me and Tommie's strength and perseverance. We experienced other ways of life in Sumter. It was much different there than our life in Philadelphia, being away from mother and seeing the harsher things in life at such a young age made us very strong. We saw how strong our family was and also learned new ways of living. We had great role models on each side of our family. Both sides always came together to help the others in need of support. Hattie came up on a train to Philadelphia to get us, and we rode the train to Columbia, South Carolina. Hattie's car was at the station in Columbia. After we arrived at the train station, Tommie and I wandered off into a beautiful restaurant. It was an exquisite place. All the tables were covered in lovely white linen tablecloths. Each table was set nicely, and the glasses were filled with water. It looked as if something was about to occur, a party or celebration, but there were absolutely no customers inside. While we were standing there looking around, a big old fat, pink looking mean man came out of the kitchen. He was wearing a white baker's cap. He said empathetically, "Little girls, you can't be in here. Now get out." He rushed us out the door. We had never experienced blatant racism before. We ran out the side door and found Hattie. As we turned the corner, we saw an entrance for another restaurant. The sign for this one read "Color Only." Hattie took us inside. It was a teeny, greasy, stinky hole in the wall. The man working there would be wore a tattered old apron. He asked us what y'all want to eat. It repulsed us because there were bugs crawling on the counter. Tommie said, "Nothing for us." We walked out, and Tommie said, "I'm not ever going to eat in a place like that." I replied, "Me either." That was how we were welcomed into these new experiences in our young lives. We got to Hattie's car. It was an old beat up Buick. We began a 25-mile ride through the country to Sumter. Just as we were nearing Sumter, there was a group of older, scrawny looking white men by the side of the road. They chanted us as we rolled by very slowly. "Look at them niggers." Hattie told us to be quiet and we would be all right. Again, we were witness to things that children should not have to see or hear. We sat quietly for the rest of the car ride. The roads were dirt and there wasn't much to see along the way. We arrived at the farm. It was so big there was a long road that led directly up to the little white house. There was a swing on the front porch which caught my attention first. The yard had chickens running around, and there were more than a few old mutts under the porch. On the porch, in the yard, and everywhere. There was a big old tree in the front yard with a tire swinging from it. Everything had a particular odor to it, sort of a musty smell that filled the air. On one side of the house was a hen house. A little further down from that was a pig pen. Rows of cotton were growing along the back of the house, and in the back were rows of corn in a vegetable garden. There were juicy looking tomatoes, rows of green beans, cabbage, watermelon, and peas. Then, way further out, which seemed to be a mile away, you guessed it, the outhouse. Tommie always had the opportunity, had to accompany me there because I was afraid and often got sick from the smell. There was also a smokehouse way out in the field. The water pump was also in the back. We had to pump water for cooking, bathing, cleaning, and drinking. This was a new world for us, and Aunt Alice, the environment was very different from our home in Philly. I'm sorry, I would have stayed my ass in Philly then. Inside the house, there was a big kitchen and dining room. The stove was so old, we had never seen anything like that stove before. There was only one big room with three huge beds and a dresser. The musty smell was inside the house also. This was a real working farm. Tommy and I soon became workers here, helping our family to run it. We learned how to tie tobacco. Then we would climb the rungs and hang tobacco leaves in the smokehouse. The tobacco would dry and it for several days and then be transported to market. Pop Oscar also cured meats. We always had fresh ham, beef, lamb, venison, and other kinds of meats. There were more things going on than we had ever been involved with, and we did not mind. Every morning in the crack of dawn, we were awakened by cock-a-doodle-doo of the rooster. There were endless chores, tending to the farm animals, gathering eggs from the hen house, picking cotton, in addition to shunking the corn and peas. Tommy seemed to be in her element. She and Hattie had a blast making sausage from leftover meat. They would grind it up in the old handheld grinder. They put it in some sort of tube, which I discovered later was the skin of a pig, cut and tied the ends with string and hung it up with the rest of the meats. The next morning, Mama Janie would prepare their sausage with eggs, grits, homemade biscuits, and fresh buttermilk that she got from their one and only cow. Mama Janie would also make the best butter and cheese in the world. I will never forget those wonderful days in the scrumptious meadows. Tommy and I loved it when Aunt Hattie would take us into town to get a few things. One day, Tommy and Hattie picked up fabric, thread, and buttons. On this visit, I had to go to the restaurant, so Tommy went with me. Outside of the restaurant, there was water fountains with signs. One read for whites only, and the other read for color only. Tommy hoists me up, and I took a long gulp and then another from the one for whites. We went to the ladies' room, and as soon as we stepped out, a man appeared and confronted Tommy. He asked her, "Did you see the sign?" Tommy put her head up and shoulder back and replied, "Yes, I did." The man immediately got on his walkie-talkie and security appeared. Tommy blurted out, "My name is Thomason Montgomery, and I am the daughter of Thomas and Jenny Montgomery of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Where we come from, we can eat, drink, and go anywhere we want." She expressed herself and was insistent that's how the world should be. The man glared at her and scratched his head, and he walked away. Hattie had come over by the time and just looked dumbfounded. Tommy and I held hands and skipped off. We laughed about the incident all the way home, while Hattie just shook her head in amazement that Tommy would speak up to an author like that. There were many creative things to do on the farm. Hattie and Tommy cut the pattern made from newspaper and pinned it to some recently purchased fabric, and a few days later we had two crisp blue cotton dresses. The dresses were pressed with an old metal iron that was heated on that monstrosity of a stove, and voila, we had the most cherished outfits that were ever bestowed upon us. God bless you, Aunt Hattie. I will never forget you. Kisses and much love. As always, Tommy would get into things without even trying. Tommy could get into things without even trying. One day, Tommy was bouncing herself on a fence where the pigs fed. She was singing "Daddy's Gone on a Gunnin'." It was a song she composed by herself, and she sung it whenever our father would go hunting. As she was getting into her song, she fell directly into the slop out throw. We heard her screaming, and we ran to the pen to pull her out. Tommy was laying in the pig slop. She was smelly, stinky, and totally disheveled. I cracked up and laughed so hard at her, I thought it was the funniest thing I'd seen in my life. She had all that gunk all over her face. She had cornet eggs stuck in her hair. She was full of slime and all kinds of other yucky stuff. Worst of all, she smelled like a garbage can. Well, damn, rude. Hattie took her to get cleaned up. The water was pumped into a big tin container on the back porch. It served as a bathtub. The soap was brown and was made of lye. Hattie cleaned her up and greased her down with petroleum jelly. When she had Then she had to press Tommy's hair. She was still smelly, and Hattie said she had to have another bath. I went out back and snickered more because I thought it was so funny. Look, you ain't get your ass whooped since you think everything's so funny. We had settled into things the best we could on the farm. It was a great place to be, and we had the love and support of our family. It was very hard being away from our mother, but the experiences and the learning of new things accompanied most of our time. One day, news came that a child had passed away. Hattie loaded us into the car and we drove about 2 miles until we turned down an old clay road. The road continued for a long time. As the car rattled over the bumpy road, Tommy and I just stared at each other the way city slickers do when they have no idea what was going on. What is going on. We were so far out, it felt like there was no civilization, no traffic, no people, and no buildings. When we came to a house, it was a wooden cabin with no windows, again, something we had never seen. And we had never seen people live like this. The house sat on a mound of dirt with no grass. There was nothing there, no chickens, no pigs, not even any dogs. We could hear noises coming from the back. It was strange and eerie sounding. We walked around the back with Hattie. There we found a woman with raggedy clothes on, no shoes, messy hair, and a naked baby on her lap. There were other children present, and they were in the same unkempt manner. Tears stained every face, and their lips seemed parched. Tommy and I became scared, and we held each other's hand very tightly. The woman was howling like a wolf. Her arms were stretched out and pointing towards the house. Still clutching each other's hand, Tommy and I were very scared now. Hetty led us up. What the hell was she taking them there for? Hetty led us up the rickety steps, and there inside the house, on the bed, was a woman's teenage daughter. She lay there with her eyes closed, her mouth open, and flies swarming around her. The smell was overwhelming. She looked no more than 8 years old and died from malnutrition. What the hell is going on? The woman's husband had left the family, and the rest of them were literally starving to death as well. And Hattie stepped in to help their family. She rallied her church members together, and they gave the child a decent funeral. Our Uncle Hubert preached at the little white matchbox church known as Congruity. Tommy sang "How Great Thou Art" at the funeral. She sang it especially for the girl's mother. The congregation was in awe of Tommy and her melodious voice. Hattie collect money from the members of the church to help the family get back on their feet and manage for a little while. Tommy had a little with me about our people. She said to me, "Our people who live in America don't have much. So the little they do have, they must learn to share with others so that no one will be without and all can survive. We have to pull together. We should never look for repayment. Just know you've done something good, and one day something will return that good back right back at you." That was the concept of the time and the lesson of the day. When we returned from the funeral, Tommy could tell I was still shaken up with seeing this whole thing happen. After all, I was much younger than she was. She held me and told me everything would be okay and not to worry. She explained to me that we had a daddy who loved us so much and he would never leave us. This little talk seemed to ease my fears only for a moment. I told Tommy if she ever left me, I might as well die. I was so confused. She said she would not leave me ever because she loved me so much. Too much. And then she kissed my tears away. She went on to tell me things I did not understand. I listened anyway. Tommy explained to it to me like this. She said, "Ludi, it's sort of like this because our people don't have much. They are ashamed of themselves, and I believe that the man left his family because he thought he was doing the right thing by leaving. He couldn't provide for them, but he should have stayed and suffered with them. And maybe, just maybe, they would have had a small miracle. She continued, Louis, you just have to wait and see. I shook my head like I understood. I contemplated what she said and found it away like I always did. What we gathered from the entire stay in Sumter became ingrained in us forever. The lessons were to value each and every person you meet, speak up for yourself, value each meal, and respect the hand that prepared it. We knew firsthand that without doubt, all the hard work and arduous hours that went into just one meal, and oftentimes the ungratefulness that accompanied it. We became grateful, and no longer did we look at life through rose-colored glasses after being in Sumter. We knew it was tough early on for us with our mother's illness. We made a pact right there and decided to face each trial with a forward face and unreluctant soul. When September came, our Aunt Hattie went on to college and became a teacher. She was hearing impaired, but that was not an obstacle for her. We headed back to Philly with new eyes, and we looked at the world and our own lives a little differently. Daddy's going a gunning. Words by Thomasina Montgomery. Daddy's going to gunning. He'll be having funnin' and be bringing some. Daddy's going to gunning. Okay. Now, this book has several pictures of Tammy Terrell and her family and many others. I don't show the pictures, I just read the book. And it looks like it's baby pictures, it's paintings of Tammy Terrell. It's a picture of her mom on Germantown Avenue. It's a picture of her dad. All right, so it was several pictures of Tammy Terrell throughout her career, in her life. Like I said, I just read the book. I don't show the pictures. If y'all want to see the pictures, please feel free to get the book. It's on eBay. I'm pretty sure it's probably on Amazon and at some of your local bookstores. Chapter 4, Growing Up Fast. We returned to Philly in September of 1956. Our family was separated when we came home. When our mother got out of the hospital, she came home to Aunt Alice's so she would be with us. Tommie and I returned to Emlyn Elementary School in Germantown. Our father was living at our 13th Street house all summer while mommy was in the hospital. Aunt Alice had all three of us now. She was hardworking and loyal to her baby sister and her girls. With mommy sick, Alice tried to make it normal for Tommie and me. At Alice's, we were reminded of being on her rigid schedule. There were chores to do, and Auntie had a time frame that she wanted them done in. There was always time to play in that wonderful garden. We were just so glad to see our mom again and be home. Schedule or not, we needed to be home with our mother. Daddy was heavily into his political career and war leader duties at the time. Dwight David Eisenhower began his second term in office as President of the United States. The political climate in the country was heating up. The previous year, Rosa Parks had been put off a bus and thrown into jail in Alabama. She would not give up her seat to a white man. The civil rights movement was exploding, and Daddy was right there in the center of it. He loved the action and excitement of the current climate of the country. His political interests kept him away from home and family. The black community in the country were pressing to move ahead towards growth and change, while the Montgomerys were working through our own crisis and unique family dilemmas. Nowadays, we probably be labeled a dysfunctional family, but we did not notice or realize this at the time. Daddy would come on the weekends to see us and spend family time with us. We would have a family dinner on Saturday and go to church on Sunday. We learned that our beloved ducks had died while we were in Sumter. They were buried in the backyard. Our hearts sank and we cried because it seemed so empty without them. The life was gone from the house, and I remember I agreed dutifully for the ducks. Tommie and I were looking forward to come home to them. We had Aunt Island's dog Lucky. He seemed enough to pacify us and keep us company. Lucky was such a smart dog and was a real member of the family. I think he knew Tommie and I needed him to play with us and keep us company. When he was around, we were happy and smiling. He was always there to cheer us up. Reality began to sink in for us, though. We saw our mother's health crisis and were quickly reminded of her pain. Although we were always working so hard on the farm and we seemed preoccupied there, I often wonder what it must have been like for her to be away from us. I believe our mother was lonely and missed us. My heart ached because Tommy and I at least had each other. And Mommy was in the hospital alone. I know that we were all needed each other, but it was not possible to be together during her ill times. Although she was home from the hospital and on the mend, most days mother spent her time in her room with the drapes drawn. She would stay in bed and keep a scarf drenched in chamfer wrapped around her head to elevate the excruciating pain. Tommy just did not want to talk about anything concerning mother. She especially did not want to talk about it with me. It was heart wrenching to see her like that, and I know Tommy felt the same way. As children, there was very little we could do. The best we could do to help the situation was to behave and let mommy get lots of rest. We would try to stay quiet and not upset her. We started school and began to settle into what seemed like a regular routine. Tommy was 11 and I was 7. School was a nice change. It felt normal to be around the other kids and teachers. It was helpful to me to have a sense of balance. Our life seemed to have so many extremes. There were constant highs and lows. School was something that was certain every day, and it was routine. I think I needed that. Studying was hard for me, but I got through it. I was preoccupied with worries over our mother and father not being home. I could feel the a void, even though my mother was there. She needed her rest and quiet time. I could feel the quiet of these times. Tommy was older, and as always, she did her thing to fit right into whatever she was doing. Nothing troubled her, at least it did not show. The weekends would turn out to be like old times. Our friends began to come around more and more, and Tommy was singing and entertaining whenever she had a chance. When Mother was feeling well, she supported anything Tommy and I wanted to do. Mother loved to cook and bake with us, and she would take us shopping when she felt well. I began a hobby with ice skating and enjoyed it very much. Tommy began getting involved with talent shows and other festivities that involved her singing. Mommy supported her eldest daughter's talents and she respected her goals and dreams. Mom was instrumental in getting her to the talent shows or signed up for auditions. She would get the information out of the paper, radio programs, and see posters on public boards for contests, auditions, and talent shows. She was the one taking her to get outfits for the shows. We appreciated these well times with our mom. We loved her so much, and I hope she knew how much her time meant to us and how happy we were to share those moments with her. I was a gem of She was a gem of a mom. She wanted so badly to be there for us and support us. She would do more and overcompensate during her bouts of wellness. She loved it. She gave us so much love and made good times for us when she could. When it came to Tommie, Daddy, on the other hand, wanted her to be more scholastic. He knew she inherited his mindful business skills and she was intelligent ahead of her years. He did not like the idea of showbiz because of his experiences with his brother Bob. The boxing field was similar to the entertainment field. The pitfalls are the same. Daddy knew it was hard to survive in that business. He was certain that he did not want Tommie in that environment. He eventually lost when it came to trying to detour Tommie. This battle to encourage her to focus on school began early. He accepted it after a while because he realized entertainment was definitely her plan. Tommie's mind was set on singing and being a star, and she did not listen to Dad's warnings. He would tell her at this young age, and again when she was older, you will be living out of a suitcase and eating out of a can. My father eventually caved in and acknowledged her talents. He saw how happy music made his daughter. I know he was proud, but it was like out of sight, out of mind for him. He knew she was going down that path. However, he did not want to know about it. He was very protective of us, even though he was distant in other ways. Tommie was often favored over many girls in leading roles for school plays. During these times, Mom was able to enjoy Tommie's silence and they bonded closely with their creativity. Tommie was the apple of my mother's eye. Tommie and I were treated into something special while Mom was doing well. We were able to see our mother's acting silence. We enjoyed her reading Belshazzar's feast in a church recital. Tommie directly credited her mother for her own talent. She would tell us all the time that she had a gift in her because it flowed from our mother. Both of them were incredibly beautiful, big smiles with honey-colored complexions. All three of us had the family beauty mark on our faces. I admire both my mother and both my sister and our mother's talents, and I'm so proud of my family. I was too shy to sing and do the things that Tommie did. I had a different personality and could not pursue the same interests as my sister. They had that in common, and I am happy now looking back that they shared those early times with Tommie grooming herself into show business. They were able to praise each other as artists and support each other in their creativity. I know that meant the world to each of them. The winter of 1956 was long. It seemed to go on forever. Mommy was doing well for quite a few months this time. As winter was ending, she soon had a setback. Aunt Alice yelled for us, Thomasine and Ludi. We ran up the stairs as fast as we could. Alice yelled, hurry, go to Kitty's house. Get to Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty was my aunt's friend, and she lived up the street from us. She was also a nurse. When I saw my mom out cold on the floor, I raced up the street to Kitty's. I shouted, Miss Kitty, it's Mama. She fainted. Help her, please. Please help her. Miss Kitty administered smelling salts, and our mother was whisked away in an ambulance. Tommy not cried. Mommy was going again. Her stay was not as long this time, thank goodness. She was home within a few weeks. The doctors had put her on a new medication for severe depression. We were happy she did not have the shock treatments again. She did not want her We did not want her to be away from us. Tommy and I were anxious for winter to end. We wanted nice weather and we wanted the gloomy days to go away. The saying, when it rains it pours, certainly applied to winter at our house. The weather was not the only gloom on the horizon. Our family was hit with yet another emotional crisis. More disasters showed up in our lives. Mother and Alice received a phone call from the police station, and out the door they went. They were gone for several hours when Mother called home to check on me. She told me to get ready for bed and not to stay up late. I had to go to school the next day and just could not sleep. I wanted to know where they were, and I really, really wanted to know where Tommie was. I was so worried and upset. I knew something was terribly wrong. It was very late when I heard them all come in. I got up and snuck toward the doorway of our room to listen. I heard Daddy, Mommy, and Aunt Alex talking. They were whispering in the kitchen about what had happened. I snuck closer so I could hear, and what I heard made me gasp. The details were horrific. 3 boys had raped and beaten Tommy on her way home from the Wissahickon Boys and Girls Club. She was walking home from a show rehearsal when it happened to her. Tommy was only 11 years old. Although she was completely distraught, she was able to get herself to the police station and make a positive identification of the boys who did this. All of her life, she had a deep strength inside of her. However, the incident changed her and made her just a little rough around the edges. I was left to figure the rest out alone. That night, I saw Tommy's things in the bathroom. I put it all together, and I was devastated. Her clothes and underclothing had been ripped and torn off her. I felt so horrible about what she must have gone through. It was seldom around our house for many weeks. I could do little, little to make Tommy feel better. Tommy would mumble in her sleep for weeks. She began to have night terrors and walked in her sleep. Tommy would stay in the room crying, sunken, and staring into space. I hated those boys for what they did to her. They were caught and punished for their actions. We did not discuss or talk about the incident as sisters nor as a family. It was taboo to talk about anything like this. During those years, most families, not just ours, swept any topics of the nature under the rug. Our family never discussed sex at all with Tommy or me. There were no birds and the bees discussions in our house. I learned the hard way, and Tommy learned the horrific way. We went through the winter like robots. Tommy tucked her pain deep inside, and as always, she eventually pulled herself up, dusted herself off, and snapped back to what seemed to be normal for Tommy. I have never told anyone outside my family these details before. This event is the cure and catalyst of my sister's complexities with relationships and her choices in men. I highly doubt in her life that she shared her troubles with others. Some people would say she was dark or troubled, but she was highly misunderstood by those who did not know her. Tommy was often unfairly judged. Even after her death, the things that were said about her were not accurate. When you know someone's childhood and their life experiences, you understand them more than the average person. Tommie would say, it is not fair to judge anyone if you do not have the insight into their life. Tommie did not judge the people who judge her. She just allowed people to be and accept everyone at face value. Even after this incident, she had blind trust in people and she let them in. For those people who spoke of my sister in a negative light, I feel they just worked with her or crossed paths with her in show business. My sister's family and friends knew her more ultimately. This experience was horrible for Tommie. There was a lot of guilt that came with it for my mother and for me as well. I know we both felt helpless. Since I shared the room in bed with Tommie, I knew and heard her pain and night. As an 11-year-old girl, she looked at life so differently. She had more vision and depth than some of the adults around her. Tommie worked through her troubles as they occurred. Although she was hurt emotionally by this, she did snap back to the Tommie I knew. But like I said, she had an edge. Was more rebellious. Tommie's outlet again became her music, singing and doing that to make others happy. Her gift for entertaining made her pain subside. She was able to tuck so much away. She was just a girl who was growing up fast. She carried a lot of on her shoulders and made the best of her situations. She was involved in a real work in progress. She was dealing with her trials. She had her dreams to pursue, and nothing got in her way for long. She would always snap back to herself, and when she had a setback, Tommie had that wild and adventurous side as a child. She held onto the wonderment, joy, and good times. She soon began to have a wilder side and more experiences than most girls her age. Tommie grew up so fast with everything that she went through. She began to push the envelope, and because of our family situation, with mother being sick, some of Tommie's rebellion went unnoticed. Smoking, drinking, boys, and sneaking out of the house to go to clubs were soon ahead for Tommie. My heart sank for my sister at times because at this very young age, I did not know or understand the whys of what was going on with her emotionally. She was so happy, positive, and made others happy all the time. However, she covered her pain with a big smile. She would sing her heart out and press forward with no anger or revenge in her heart for what had happened to her. Then it has an excerpt from Williams William Walton's Belshazzar Feast. Hopefully, I said that right. Excuse me. Then sing aloud to God our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. Take a psalm, bring hither the timbrel, blow up the trumpet and the new moon. Blow up the trumpet in Zion. For Babylon the great is fallen, fallen. Hallelujah. Then sing aloud to God our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. While the kings of the earth lament and the merchants of the earth weep, sell, weep well and rend their raiment. They cry, alas, alas, that great city. In 1 hour is her judgment come. The trumpeters and pipers are silent, and the harpers have ceased to harp, and the light of the candle shall shine no more. Then sing aloud to God of strength, make a joyful noise to the God of Jacob. For Babylon the great is falling. Hallelujah. All right, so that was upsetting. Um, it's a lot more to read, a lot more chapters, a lot more pictures. So I'm going to take a break and I'll get back to y'all in the next one. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. Feel free to donate to my channel. If anybody want to donate, the Cash App is Kashmere Majesty 26. Once again, if anyone want to donate to the channel, let's see new reviews, videos of any kind, or if you just want to support because you like what I bring to this YouTube channel, the Cash App is Kashmere Majesty 26. Once I know you are a real supporter and you're really sending your donations, I will give you a shout out and whatever you want to see, I'll make sure I bring it to YouTube, whether it's a wig review, mannequin hair review, or maybe you just want to support because you like the channel. But I'm going to get back to y'all in the next video.